Apparently, the god of war governs my relationships. Oh no! So my mind goes through this connection. What does this really mean? War, conflict, confrontation, conversation, a not arriving at the same conclusion during a communication, usually of needs, wants, desires, understanding of discomfort. A lot of that misunderstanding, this discomfort, this conflict of interests is like the difference in learning styles. So people are expressing themselves because this is the way that they best understand it. Therefore, they believe it's the best way to explain themselves. It's a difference, for example, between learning styles, relationshiping styles. That's where a lot of the conflict and communication comes from, an inability to understand where somebody else is coming from. Because in so many situations, people are saying the same thing, but in a different way, and not recognizing that they want the same things. They just need to receive and give and communicate it in a different way. So, of course, we don't, if we understand that, we can allow ourselves to express something differently so that the other person can understand. So it's just coming to understand somebody else and things like that. So war, the god of war, is also expressed as Mogul dosha. And that has to do with maintaining a sense of self while in relationship with other people. And in order to do that, that requires healthy boundaries, the boundaries that we need to maintain a sense of self, which is going to be different to various people. Use your imagination. I'm sure you know all about it. So when somebody says the god of war governs my relationships, to me that just means that this God, this energy, this consciousness is a holder of boundaries. And the more clear, the more comfortably expressed, the less it feels like war. That about sums it up. I could go into all kinds of personal examples. It's like, I'm a person who loves structure. Structure's a boundary. But I hate structure. Don't, like, if you come to me and you say, all right, I want you to plan out a day and how it would go and how it would be healthiest, that structure is not going to serve everybody. So I don't really hate structure, I discover about myself. I hate having to conform to a structure that does not serve me best. And I thrive under certain forms of structure. Like, if I'm going to wake up and somebody else is making and serving breakfast, and then I know that, it's time to go do some exercise, and then I have all kinds of free time to get creative, and then, there's some event at night, that's great. But I'm also a seasonal person, so I'm going to not be hungry in the morning at times, and I'm going to need to be able to be fluid within any structure, which for somebody else, they don't care what time of year it is. it's got to be the same thing all the time. They have to have that structure all the time. There are people, they can go off and live the boondock life, not have any home to go back to. They're great, they're fine. There are people, they'll go on vacation once in a while, but generally it isn't far from home. They like their home, and that's where they'll spend most of their lives. Me, I have to have a home, but I love to travel. The conflict in a lot of relationships for me in the past, which I don't see going forward, because I like to isolate a lot, need a lot of time for clarity within myself, understanding, being in contact and grounded within myself, because I am a water sign, because I am fluid. I could get lost. I could just evaporate, and lose touch with my intention, where I want to be, where I feel good, where I feel comfortable, where I feel happy, where all my needs are met. So I do need roots, and I need them to stay there and to be stable and reliable. So, because I isolate a lot, in the past, people have seen me as, okay, it's a person of solitude, they isolate a lot. I'm going to be the only one in, I'm going to get all their attention. But I'm also very social. I like the rewards of, you know, getting to know and understand and be comfortable with all kinds of personality types in all kinds of environments. And then they feel threatened by that. So they, the insecure part, they aren't getting what they wanted. It's not what they signed up for. They signed up for this isolating person. And so they try with the control stuff, go so far as making me look bad to other people, taking away my resources to leave. All that's good and happy, jolly stuff that goes with traumatic relationships. So that's when the god of healthy boundaries starts becoming the god of war, when we see that conflict. And that's, what's going to happen. That's just only a natural evolution. But if you see, it's so, they just dramatize everything, which is fine. People want things dramatized. I have to accept that. But people say, oh, you have the Mogul dosha in your chart, or you have the god of war. The god of war is ruling the heavens right now. It's the god of healthy boundaries. You respect them, you know how to communicate them, you know how to get along well with them, the idea and concept of them. The god of war being an active sign, being the season of the day, being in your birth chart, the god of war is not a problem. It does not mean you're going to have conflict in your experience unless you want it. It always surprises me. An example is the universal basic income. Everybody gets the same start, the same basic income to fill their basic needs, and it's an even playing field that we all get to start off with. And you can gain more from there. You can gamble it all away, whatever you want to do, but it's assured, so that somebody doesn't have to be afraid to leave an uncomfortable relationship, yada yada. I see all the good points of it. But some young kid, he says, no, I would hate that. I still have things to prove to myself. Oh yeah, I'm past the age of needing to prove anything to anybody. Tired of doing it, So there's always the difference in perspective in what people think is good and bad. I'm about getting ease and grace going in my life. But there are younger people who have, they call it a sense of adventure. There always has to be a villain to defeat. There always has to be a mountain to climb. There has to be a challenge. And it just, it's not my thing. I like things that challenge me at times, but I don't want struggle after struggle after struggle in my life. I like to experience developing a new ability, to have a new perspective, a new dimension to myself, my experience of myself. So, what having this energy in our experience means for one person is going to mean something to a different person. And that's okay. But I'm here to let you know that if somebody says, oh, you have the Mogul dosha and or oh, the god of wars in the heavens, you don't have to panic if you don't want to. You're even safer when you have that energy on your side if you want to have a nice, peaceful experience.